Welcome to Haunted Stories for Space Camping, where we explore the unexplainable. I'm Felix the Human, and with me is my co-host, Mad Matt, the Mad Professor, the Armchair Extraordinaire. He is the expert, the king of conspiracies, the sultan of suspicion, and I am a casual consumer of the curious. Before we start, make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, whatever you do. As we said, welcome to the podcast. This is Haunted Stories for Space Camping. I am one of your co-hosts, Felix the Human, and with me, as always, is Mad Matt, the Mad Professor, the Armchair Extraordinaire. How's your night going, sir?
You doing? It's going great. Saw some family today, hung out, had a good time. It's been wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic. We're going to jump into it. So if you saw any of our preview videos or teasers or anything like that, pretty much we're starting off with a very large topic, and I mean large. It's Antarctica.
It's
now
the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, basically. So, but, off of this one giant sort of paranormal mecca, we can spread our wings, we
so
can
many
touch
different
on all
directions.
sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what we're going to do for our first few episodes is sort of breach on these topics that can expand out even further. So, we're not going to get super specific here. We're just going to lay some foundational work. How's that sound to you, Matt?
It sounds great. Absolutely.
So starting off with Antarctica, we have this paranormal, haven here. With just
definitely has a vibe,
waters.
doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly. As soon as I started reading about it, I'm like, oh man,
it draws you
endless.
right in. Like the first couple stories that you hear, you're just like, oh, tell me more.
And then there are stories abound after that. But the craziest part is just the normal natural phenomenon there in of themselves is insane.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I'm not talking or I'm not saying, I don't believe or have any sort of credence into the paranormal stuff here, but the stuff that is 100% proven, like here it is, like they have so many hidden lakes, volcanoes, largest desert in the world, singing ice. They've got all sorts of meteorites all over the place. Hidden oceans, a giant hole. Who has a giant hole? Giant staircases. Like it's crazy. And then even the animals there are super weird and unique. So I thought we could kind of just start by talking about those natural phenomenon real quick, and then move on to the paranormal phenomenon with the place.
Well, and so I'll jump right in. Some of that natural geography that you were talking about is so astounding and so creepy at the same time. And I'll go ahead and tip my hand right away. Is that some of these pyramids that seem to be down there, the way the ice moves and stuff, and everyone knows the ice is angular and it can shear and it can shift and it can present angles and whatnot. But some of these pyramid-like structures that have been identified, if in fact are pyramids, are the largest pyramids on Earth.
4 times larger than the largest pyramid we currently know of. I mean, that's insanity. That is a pyramid so large that would be impossible probably to be made by humans.
Yeah.
That would blow up the entire pyramid conspiracy world,
Absolutely. And you said a lot of different things that was weird. And from where we were talking last time, I had done a little more digging, and we can get into this in different episodes because I do definitely think it is worth its own episode, and that is some maps that exist. Some maps
that were drawn before they had the technology to draw those type
was
of maps.
There. Absolutely,
right.
Man. I found it so astounding that these maps that are before there was no technology to know what was down there or what it was shaped like or what valleys or peaks or some of the intricacies of the maps that I did take a look at.
The maps or the geography they based this map on what came from civilizations that well predated any sort of written
Right.
language. So that's what's the craziest to me is how either I don't know how you get from point A to point B in that scenario. You know, I don't get how you get from a biblical time sort of mapping, getting mapped in what 1500s. This was
Right.
done.
Yeah. Some earlier, 900s, 800s.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that alone is crazy in and of itself. You know, these are just unexplainable things
Well,
that are.
and not to get way too far off topic, I'll spend like 30 seconds on it. Another juicy bit of morsel that we can get into are some of the theories of where Antarctica is where it is now. Some of the Earth
Well, it's
crust
down south.
theories. Thanks. Yeah, no, I did wonder, no, but some of the like Earth crust slippage theories that are out there. That,
Oh yeah, yeah. I caught a little bit of that.
yeah, yeah.
But to me, you know, we both know we don't really subscribe completely. I mean, it's absolutely fascinating.
It is.
But you know, I'm still a part. You know, it was a part of Pangea, the great, you know,
Yeah.
one
But even with
continent,
that,
and it was a
Pangea was only
tropical.
one of the supercontinents. There were like four
Yeah,
or
yeah.
five that preceded it.
Right.
And
And so it
so,
was a super tropical environment at one point in time, which
yes.
is why people tend to fear the melting of the polar ice caps could, you know, unleash
Yeah.
this sickness that could wipe out the world.
Well,
We
that's
have no
what
idea what bacteria is frozen there.
stuff that has been untouched by the modern world for thousands of years is laying underneath that ice. Some of it in lakes,
Yeah.
some of it in just frozen. So yeah, if it thaws or we like the dwarves dig too fast and too deep, who knows
Nice reference.
what we could unleash on the world.
So along with that, so just to touch briefly on the pyramids things, I don't subscribe to that one.
No,
It
you don't
looks like a
think
mountain to
anyway
me.
because they're too big. Is that why?
No, one because it's too big.
Okay.
Two because everybody's biggest like point of evidence to that is, oh, there's never been a mountain that's shaped like a pyramid. Well, yeah, there has. Look up some pictures on Google Earth, which is, by the way, where you found that picture. Which, if you keep scrolling down, the other argument against it is that there are no other peaks and there's never been a mountain range that only has one peak, which one, again, there are mountain ranges where you have one giant peak and a bunch of really small ones. Now, those really small ones could be still under the ice, but if you find other pictures, you can see these other mounds or humps that kind of cascade off in the distance. So
It's part
I
of
just
that
think the
ridge.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think the arguments are massively flawed for me to entertain any sort of thing like that. And I don't subscribe to pyramids being alien technology quite because I just don't know, like, if it were, like, why abandon it? Like,
Have you heard, before we get off into some crazy stuff, but have you,
yeah, we got to refocus soon.
yeah, did you hear about the picture scrubbing that NASA has done about
Oh,
Antarctica?
yeah.
And that,
Yeah, and
the
it's hard
quality
to
of the
defend.
pictures get worse and worse?
Yeah, and you know, obviously Google Maps and all that stuff it has been, well, you know, 1 second, certain sections of Antarctica's there, and then, you know, years later it's not. I
Giant
also
doors.
kind of, yeah, I don't know where to go with that because you would think if the governments of the world were all powerful enough to get them changed, why wouldn't you start like at
Right.
like when it first came out? Like, why would
Speaking
it take you 10 to 15 years to get Google to change this? If you're powerful enough to get them to change it, you do it immediately, or you tell them once you realize that they're taking satellite images, like, hey,
20-year gap
come here.
between
I
this
want to talk. I
photo,
want to talk
right.
to you for a second. You're right.
Speaking of which, back to the factual stuff. You said nations and who owns it. Who does own Antarctica?
Well, funny story about that. It's like everybody, but nobody all at once. It's this fun little treaty that we all know about. And it sort of kept the peace for a while. I think, like, I liken it to mutually assured destruction of, the
You're
Cold
not the
War,
first that's
atomic
referred to it.
bombs,
Yeah, you're not the first
you
that's.
know.
Yep, exactly.
So but that's not the most interesting thing. The most interesting parts of those is one, every nation has tried to skirt their way around that treaty in one way or another, U.S.
We
included,
do it all the
by
time.
the way.
Yeah, we're digging down there right now, man.
Right,
Yeah.
and the second most interesting point to me is the implication that people aren't allowed, which we both know are it's a falsehood, but
People are
it's
kept out.
people are kept out of a lot of different reasons. Now, you
Yeah.
could argue that that's for public safety. We don't want this to turn into a Mount
They don't
Everest
keep
where you can.
you took the words out of my mouth. They don't keep people off Mount Everest. They let them go up there and die.
Right, but it's one of the most polluted mountains in the world, and like you shouldn't be traveling up this dangerous mountain and be able to describe it as, all right, you travel 100 yards up and then hang a left at Debbie, and then keep going until you see the blue jacket dude, and then
Green
start
boots.
climbing up again. Green boots, yeah, that's what it is.
Green boots.
So like when you're so polluted that you're using people to describe the same way I would describe my wife to get to McDonald's, that's man.
Okay, I get it. So we don't want dead bodies everywhere.
Right. But at the same time, you're not helping appearances either. So what is lingering around there? Because I do have some major questions with some crazy stories coming out of these research facilities where people who are either contractors or military personnel are talking about how these scientists are doing experiments on things 95% of the time.
Right.
But then that 5% of the time where they're bringing outsiders or tourists in, they're doing completely like normal sort of looking experiments on regular ice. But then the rest of the time they're experimenting on sky ice, or they're looking at these weird creatures
Whole-
and stuff like that.
Whole research teams missing time, days,
Holes.
disappearing.
Holes in the ground that we're taking presidents and high-ranking government officials to go
Admirals.
see as like a tourist. Yeah. So what's up with that, man? What are your opinions on the stuff that they are hiding?
That is a loaded question. Do I think that there do I honestly think that there's a possibility of some of the stuff that you just touched on being down there? Like we said before, it's such a large place, and we have such low visibility to the area for reasons
Right.
that they're not clear about. It does leave that door wide open. If there was nothing there, they should be upfront and come and say that there's nothing there. Now, if it's giant spiders or giants or the Greys or the lost city of Atlantis, I mean, we can really dive into any of these, and
Nazi
ample,
zombies.
not
What?
Nazi bases, zombie. There's a little bit of truth to each one of these things, and because they won't come out and say what they're doing down there, it leaves that door wide open for this sort of interpretation.
Right, and normally this is another one where I would just write it off, but there's so many of
And they're
these
so
stories that
compelling.
come out.
The
Yeah.
chasms, the giants, the doorways, the under ice ecosystems, rainforests. I mean, the collaboration.
Not to mention,
between,
man, not to mention the wall and the hole. Those are the two things I'm most curious about. The hole, just nobody seems to know what that is other than it's a hole, and the theories behind it have
Agartha.
massive
I'm telling
implications.
you, man.
Right, and then there's this wall, which
And this is the sky ice
where-
that you keep talking
This
about.
is where the sky ice comes from, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this wall that they presumably have dug miles into and never came out on the other side.
And it heals
once
up
they-
behind them.
Yeah, once they abandon their equipment over a long period of time, it's slowly, like you said, it's like it's healing itself. So these sort of things just completely grab my attention, but the implications of the hole itself, you're walking into potential hollow earth
Oh
theory,
yeah.
you're walking into potential alien bases. I
Yep.
mean, there's so much that can come out of that, and the amount of stories you have for the whole are
There's like
vastly
3 or 4
outnumber the
stories or
stories you have.
episodes within the whole.
Right. Once we get past all these sort of crazy natural phenomenon and then these other phenomenon that we see as maybe not the most credible, but we can't turn our heads away completely, then we get to some of the more outlandish
I
parts of this.
I root
So
for the giant spiders personally. I
the
really do.
giant spiders was the thing that you sent to me that just kicked this
It
whole episode
was. It's one
off
of my
for
favorite
me.
stories. Creepy pastas, whatever
And
you want to call it. These, between contractors and military, they go out there on these clandestine missions, and it's always the
yeah,
military busting into the researchers' room, like, "Get your stuff, we're gonna go," and then they go out there, and then it's only like 3 of them that return. Two of the guys and the army guys and the researcher, and the tale they have to tell is that this giant spider came out of nowhere and tore the team apart, and they tried to shoot it and they couldn't, and they just they don't even know where the other guys are, man. They're just in pieces. It was awful. And the one guy's got a slash down his torso, like, what could have caused that, like, and it really grabs you. It's got everything that it needs. It's got love, and it's got conflict, and it's got
right. Well, the crazy thing about the ice spiders is even though it is, I fully see it as a creepypasta, and it's a massively amusing one, but only one person has come out to spread these stories. They never resurfaced, and they
But they got
never
pictures,
spoke on
bro.
it. Okay.
The pictures
Yeah.
with the online nerds that have done the distance and the measurement and said that it's like 5 meters tall. That's the biggest spider you've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen Shelob too, but I don't believe Middle Earth is real. Look, here's the thing: is they already have massive spiders there, are already living there. We don't need to make these
Any bigger.
wild. But here's the thing: is it touches on something that you see reoccurring all throughout these Antarctica tales, whether it's giant spiders or holes or giant staircases. Is there are a bunch of stories of mysterious injuries, mysterious disappearances,
Yep.
mysterious illnesses, and so even these creepypastas have hints of truth all over them that just leave me baffled by, like you said, why is it so hard to just lay it all out there?
Get a straight
now?
answer.
I mean,
Right.
we're all if we're all in this treaty together, it's not like you're risking national security.
I mean, they let
by
James
mentioning
Cameron
these
go to
things.
the bottom of the ocean in his private submarine. Why, why can't they let,
I agree with you. We need to get James Cameron in there.
Yeah, he needs
he's
to
the only one
build
that can
some sort of
expose
mech
this.
walker and just walk out onto Antarctica and live out there
At
for a
night.
while. Yeah.
Okay, do it at night because that's when all the cool shit apparently happens.
Dude, I'm telling you. I would. I'd try it.
And this leads to all the things that we've talked about can be, we can create a giant spider web off, even the ice spiders, which, by the way, fantastic D+ movie. I love that movie.
It was
I've got it.
cheesy.
Have you watched? It was cheesy, but in the best way.
I like cheesy movies. I have not watched it all the way through. When you mentioned it to me before, I went and checked it out, and I was like,
It's fantastically bad. But so now we got to touch on finally the last thing that we wanted to save for last. I wanted to save for last because it's the most ridiculous ones. That is one, aliens, elongated skulls. You mentioned giants.
Yeah.
This ties in with the giant staircase and potentially the hole.
the giant
And that
door.
is
Yeah.
the giant door. What giant door? You should say. And that's the fact that we have to briefly touch on our least favorite topics, but at the same time, one of our favorite topics. And that's the theory of flat Earth or hollow Earth or, whatever concave Earth, whatever we're talking about.
They should have no credence. I don't understand how they keep coming back around.
But that's where the aliens live. I mean, the Greys or the tall whites or the tall whites.
It would have to
the
be the tall
Aryan
whites
aliens.
because the Greys, the tall whites disperse the Greys out onto the world to do their bidding. So those are the ones that are doing the abducting, the lost time.
Thank you. So you do believe in Hollow Earth. I finally got you to admit
On the record.
On the record. So if you have a giant door or you have a giant staircase, that really
There's another one of those military stories that is super. It had an infograph with it, and you know what? It showed the travel of the cavern from the door. It showed that it went through like an ice lake, and that there was a set of tunnels that you could go through that went into an under the ice cap forest with trees and vegetation, and there was an ecosystem.
Yeah, that's where Kong lives.
Right.
That's where King Kong lives.
Exactly. And then it went into like this, I want to say, I don't know what style, or not style, that's the wrong, what people used to build their houses into the rocks in what is now Mexico. Pueblo people, thank you. You get into that style housing, and that's where these giants are living, and they're working together with the U.S. military to,
this is Antarctica is the hub where the Hollow Earth, all these insanely quick traveling. You think they gave up on what was it in California? They were trying to get the tube. What was the name of
vacuum
that
tube, the VCC, the vacuum tube. I know what you're talking about.
You think they gave up on that? No, that's what's in the Hollow Earth, connecting Hong Kong to Russia, to the U.S.
Where you can get between all of them in 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. This is where
that reminds me of. Did you ever see the remake of Total Recall with Colin Farrell in it?
No, I did not.
Dude, there's this part that they got to go to the other side of the world, and I don't know. I can't remember if it's the other side of the world, but it's kind of like what we're saying. They got on
far.
this. Yeah, it was far. They got on this elevator and dropped through the earth until gravity changed and everything when you got halfway through. And dude, it was crazy. It was real crazy.
You look at that, but I mean, you do believe in extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
I don't think that's outlandish for me to say. And a big part of that has been that the government's been dropping hints all this time.
So many, that's in episodes to come. That's so out there now. It's not even hidden. There's no question. It's we're just waiting for official confirmation. Like, not even official confirmation. We're waiting for them to give us the goods.
So could potentially Total Recall have also been a hint? A
hint, right?
No, I don't subscribe. Obviously, we both massively dismiss flat Earth or concave Earth or whatever they want to attach themselves to.
I would believe hollow Earth above both of those.
But yeah, hollow Earth is the one that I would be quickest to be like, okay, sure.
Okay.
Not that we do believe it currently, but I much more enjoy the thought that there could be a hollow Earth than I do enjoy the
my question to you would be is, do you think that it's just like a round hole and the rest of the world is just on this crust on the outside, or do you think it's partially hollow, like a portion of it, like you ever seen the map of the inside of the Pyramid of Giza? Like, maybe there's only a shaft of it or something, like.
Yes, I would say I would have an easier time believing that the center of the Earth obviously is extremely hot and extremely dense. That's where we get gravity from.
Magnetic fields.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Science.
somebody might be able to persuade me into saying that there's a 5 mile deep crust that is hollow. I don't know. I might be able to get swayed into something like that.
They say that there are like 5 times as much water in the crust than there is on the oceans.
I mean, there's a lot of water just all over the place.
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy.
we're swimming in it. You get to see what I did there?
Oh, I got you. Like you said, I do not prescribe to the flat Earth or the concave Earth. I really don't know what those guys cling to.
And honestly, the lost cities, you're talking about lost city, you're talking about a area that was a tropical paradise. So, I mean, depending on how you want to call that, I don't believe there's Atlantis down there because I don't believe in Atlantis. I
Dude, the
think
Earth,
that's a
the
little
Earth
too much
crust
for me.
shifting 1,000 miles, Atlantis. Dude, and if they're super advanced, they wouldn't get wiped out. They just go underground. I'm telling you, it's compelling.
Yeah, we'll have that talk another day. But there is something hidden under there for sure.
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
stuff that the government is
Don't want
hiding
us to know
for
about.
sure. Even if it's just so small as we found some alien life and we found
Or
some.
we found the worst plague ever, and we can't let anyone know it's down here.
Right. That was where I was going next.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I know you personally don't believe, or I think you don't believe that aliens would put a base on Antarctica. Right?
I don't think they need to. If
where we're
anything, they are
heading
in
right
the
now.
oceans, my friend. They are in the oceans,
Right.
and they are in low
It
Earth
seems
orbit.
ridiculous.
Yep.
And me, I'm more into they are interdimensional. So why would they need to?
They don't need to be here at all, man. They can just walk through a portal.
Right. So, we're going to wave that one away too. But, there's a lot of really interesting shit here that I would like to dive into regardless. And however we can break this up into 3 or 4 different episodes in the future, we will. But we thank you guys for going on this wild ride with us.
Very wild ride. It was a good time.
I know we spit out a shit ton, like fast and hard, and we didn't go in depth into anything. So essentially, this episode was a complete waste of time because we didn't tell you anything.
It's just a teaser. It just wets their mouths. They got to come back for more.
Right. Okay. Well, you know what? That was Haunted Stories for Space Camping. If you like more, continue to listen to the show. Like, rate, review, follow, whatever it is that you have to do. You go do that. And find us on our, we're going to post this audio up to our Two Dads and a Podcast YouTube site, and it'll host us on a playlist, and then everything else will be available on podcasts. So, just keep tuned. More to come.
See you guys later.
Yep, I am Felix the Human. That is Mad Matt, the Mad Professor. Have a good night.